Do you think it's viable for your partner to know about your past?
Does you talking about your past, does it move the relationship forward? Unless you've done something diabolical. If there's a reason for a communication about the past, then yes, it should be mutual. When you are sure that it's going to, make the relationship, not necessarily destroy it. When you are trying to say you want to be brutally honest with somebody, you do not treat the person or communicate the person as if you're talking to a child. I've been in situations where I wanted to, speak for the betterment of the relationship, and it was perceived in, a very wrong. It was interpreted in it was interpreted in a very wrong way. I believe all men should be asked this question, because if the case is reversed and your woman happens to be the one who cheats, right? Would you expect her to forgive you as you expect her to forgive you? Would you forgive her as well?
Quote me anywhere. I will tell you, a man will go out, cheat with like 10 different women with no feelings, and he will come back and he will still be madly in love with his girlfriend. But once a woman steps out once, it's over. Hello guys, welcome back to Bridges and Bonds podcast. Today we have Miss Kofi in our midst today. How are you, Miss Kofi?
Nice to meet you.
And nice to have you here with us.
So lovely.
The pleasure is mine.
Yes, thank you.
So how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm great. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Happy New Year.
You're looking fantastic.
Thank you. You look wonderful.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice to have you here with us.
Thank you.
Today's episode, we are talking about communication and honesty. So, as you are now, I know you're in a relationship. I can see it is written all over you. So, do you think it's viable for your partner to know about your past? And you should know about his past too? Do you want that?
Well, it's going to depend.
Depend on what?
Yeah, I believe that is the information relevant?
Yeah, of course it is.
No.
It is relevant. Come on. It's relevant because you love that person.
Yeah.
And that person wants to know your past.
Okay, if you want to know about my past and you are willing to be open-minded when we communicate, if I can trust you enough to believe that, because we're all humans, right? I don't believe that there are so many things that must have happened in the past that a lot of us are proud of. So if I can dispose, because honestly, I've not done anything that, in my opinion, would question your judgment about me. But if based on that in our relationship, you want to know because you have some hidden, agenda, basically, or you have things that are bottled up in your past that you feel like if you do not bring to the table, it might affect our relationship presently and it might affect our future. Then by all means, you can communicate about your past. If there's anything, I just believe that in the relevance of the situation, in the relevance of the conversation in the relationship, does you talking about your past, does it move the relationship forward? Unless you've done something diabolical. Right?
Of course. Everybody has skeletons in their closet.
Unless you've done something diabolical that makes me question your integrity, the person that you present yourself to me as currently. Unless you've done something diabolical in the past that makes me question that about you, then by all means, maybe your past is needed and necessary for us to know if we'll be able to move forward in our relationship. But I best believe that someone's past should not determine or be a factor for whether or not you move forward in a relationship. It shouldn't be, because what if there are so many traumas that the person cannot even relate to it? The person you're communicating with, you might have been, your childhood is very different from the childhood that your spouse has experienced. What if you grew up from a struggling household that you had to do, like your family had to go through like a lot of things that can be triggering for some to survive, right? Would you honestly believe that unless you have a partner that you can confide in and would honestly not judge you based on the things that you've experienced in your past, then be free and open-minded enough to discuss your past. But if you know the kind of person that you are dealing with, and you know that bringing up conversations about the past is either going to make or break you, as long as it is not relevant for your relationship, I don't see a need why you need to bring that into, your present life, so to speak.
So do you think brutal honesty
Yeah.
works in a relationship?
Well, in my opinion, I believe that if it is important to be shared, there are three major reasons why honestly sharing might be important and relevant for a relationship. It might be in terms of building trust with your partner, creating like more bond, like trying to be, just be transparent, or let's say revealing, relevant information about your past. But aside that, there are some things that I don't think you can know someone fully in a relationship. And if it comes to if there's a reason for a communication about the past, then yes, it should be mutual. When you are sure that it's going to, make the relationship, not necessarily destroy it. If it's going to build more bond on trust between the both of you, then yes, equally, you should both, venture into talking about your past. But I believe that you can't know everything about your partner in a year, in how many years.
Actually, you can if you want to. If that partner is honest.
Well, you can't know everything, honestly, because relationship.
Yeah, it depends.
Yeah, you can't know everything, because relationship develops. We develop in time, with age. As the more further we grow in our years, the more the more we even unravel things about ourselves. So there's no way, if you can't know yourself fully, unless you've been put in certain situations, right? There's no way your partner can also know you fully, unless you've been tested with certain, obstacles, or maybe you've been tested with certain trials. Then yes, but we can't know someone fully in one sitting. But if it's in terms of talking about your past, in terms trying to get to know the person better, then yes, you should communicate about your past and be open-minded enough to trust that the person that you are telling is not going to, be judgmental and diabolical about anything that you might say, to, build anything that you might say that would stem to build distrust.
So to you now, I want to know your personal opinion. Your experience.
Yeah.
Do you think being brutally honest with your partner, like let's say maybe he did something you don't like, and you like, why would you do this? Why would you do this? Don't do that. Don't do this. Do you think he will become angry if you talk to him in that manner?
So
like,
I
if
think
you become brutally honest, like when you did this, you say, I don't like this thing you did.
Yeah.
It's horrible. Don't do that. Don't do that. Instead of you pampering him and telling him, this is nice, it's good. You just be brutally honest with him.
I believe delivery is very important. You do not when you are trying to say you want to be brutally honest with somebody, you do not treat the person or communicate the person as if you're talking to a child. It is very relevant and it is very important that you understand the respect and the boundary that comes with talking to somebody you are in a relationship with. So delivery is very important. How you place the conversation, how you communicate, how you guys handle the situation in that present moment is very important to maybe break or make your relationship. So communicating with someone that you are in a relationship with and you know the characteristics of this individual, it might be a very temperamental person and it might be someone that is very down to earth. You need to, as a man and as a woman, understand how someone, how to be able to communicate and say things in a way that will not be harmful or hurtful to the person you're communicating with.
In your own experience now,
Yes.
since you started being in a relationship,
Yes.
have you ever been brutally honest with your partner and he takes maybe he become
Offense.
angry, he takes offense from it?
It's I think it's a human experience. You can never, there's no way you can actually talk. I believe I've experienced okay, yes, I have actually. I've experienced that because the way I intended to interpret the situation was different from how the person perceived it. So perception and interpretation actually matters, because no matter how honest or no matter how right what you're saying is, the person might not be willing to hear it at that moment. Do you get? It might depend on the mood of the person in that moment. So yes, I have been in situations where I wanted to, speak for the betterment of the relationship, and it was perceived in, a very wrong. It was
Impression.
interpreted in it was interpreted in a very wrong way, and you can't force that in the human being because we're all humans. The way we perceive and relate to things are very different from each other. So yeah, it depends on the person and how you communicate with wisdom and how the person is willing to listen.
Secrecy is different from knowing your partner fully. So have you ever, sometime you found out a secret your partner is hiding? Maybe you asked him, he denied it, but later you found out. How did you feel about that when you found out the truth?
Well, it depends. Honestly, there were some things that I heard in my relationship that, I could easily just brush off as or an honest mistake, so to speak. But I would believe that you're asking that question in terms of something very bad that he might have done and I found out and how I reacted to it. I don't believe that anyone who does something bad and just, you just feel like you can get away with it. I don't think there's any method in which you can hear something like that and you will not react as a human being.
So, have you had that experience before or you haven't?
No, I have not.
Oh, really?
I have not. I don't think I would.
So what if you have that experience? What would you do? What if something like that happens? Maybe you come in and...
It depends on the secret, honestly, because as much as in love as I might be, I don't think there's anything, I can't just condone every single thing about you, especially when it is wrong and it goes against our morals and principles. And it goes, okay.
Yeah, cheating. Then he said he was tempted to do that, and it's not his fault. Or he was drunk.
Was it once?
Maybe twice.
Yeah. Then it wasn't.
So somebody cannot be drunk twice. Is that what you're saying?
So if it becomes a constant thing where you constantly cheat and you get away with it, and I eventually find out, and I would ask you the question honestly, because I believe I believe all men should be asked this question, because if the case is reversed and your woman happens to be the one who cheats, right? Would you expect her to forgive you as you expect her to forgive you? Would you forgive her as well?
Me personally, I wouldn't.
I
will not.
Honestly,
but women are built different.
Yeah.
A man can cheat and still love his girlfriend. It's possible, but a woman cannot. Quote me anywhere. I will tell you, a man will go out, cheat with like 10 different women with no feelings, and he will come back and he will still be madly in love with his girlfriend. But once a woman steps out once, it's over.
Why won't you believe that she's also as madly in love with you if she cheats?
No, you can never. It's not possible, because
you see,
women, if you catch women cheating, that means she wants you to catch her. Which means she's been doing that for a long time.
Sure. So
So once me personally, I've experienced it most time You know, some people, maybe when you are madly in love with them,
Yeah.
and you are willing to do everything for them.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, they just leave you outside the code.
Honestly, I believe it reflects your lack of respect for the woman that you are in a relationship with. Honestly, you might love her, you might presume that it is love, but honestly, it is lack of respect. And for her to tolerate you cheating 10 times, 20 times, and all that, it is lack of, how do they say it? What's the word? Lack of love for herself, basically.
So,
So-
let's put it this way now. Let's say in your past,
Yeah.
maybe let's say 6-7 years ago, before you met him, your
Yeah,
boyfriend currently, that you did something
Yeah.
with someone,
Yeah.
and that thing
Yeah.
lead to some mago,
Yeah.
and one thing led to another, and you became pregnant, and later you were no longer pregnant, and then your current boyfriend asked you, and he said, have you ever done so thing before? And you'd be like, no, I have not. And you have done that
You've
before.
done that. Yeah.
And one day he finds out that you have.
Well,
What are you going to tell him? What do you think he will do if he eventually finds out?
so
Or let's say he impregnated someone in the past, and he didn't tell you,
yeah.
and that person went ahead and gave birth to the child,
Yeah.
and he secretly is taking care of that child. And after so many months, let's say you guys dated for about 2-3 years, planning to get married, then
You
you've been
find out.
asking him, have you done so thing? And you'll be like, no, me? For where? Have you seen me do that? Don't you trust me? Then
That's
one
the
day you
thing.
found out.
That's the
would
that's
you
the thing. You just said the word, the most important word, which is trust.
So how do you tell which secrets that are important and the ones that are not?
The parents,
Personally, like your personal
Okay,
opinion.
if there are secrets that can be harmful to the relationship,
Like what secret? What type of secrets that are harmful? I want to know.
infidelity is something that, though it might be considered a secret, it is important to know and to walk around why you felt the need to cheat. So if it is something that can be worked on in the relationship, in terms of maybe there's something that I was lacking that you didn't see in me, you had to go and find it outside, then it is important for you to discuss conversations like that. Because honestly, for women, I believe that the thing we see when it comes to men cheating is very simple. You go ask yourself, when your man cheats, you ask yourself, say, is there something that I lack that I had to go and find outside? And if it is not in terms of what you lacked, but just the man himself just being a chronicle cheat, then he needs to work on himself, basically. So when it comes to secrets that should not be, communicated, I believe that it will depend on what you consider harmful and what you consider normal in your relationship. Transparency is something that I believe is very important to sustain a very lasting relationship. And if there are things that you can't be transparent about, are there things that once communicated can break the relationship? If it is, then keep it to yourself, honestly. But if they are not, then by all means. And if there are things that require both parties to be really involved so they can communicate and find a way around it, then yes, it should be communicated. But let's say, for instance, maybe your spouse committed a crime like fraud or something, those kind of things actually do need to be communicated, because a woman's brain, when it comes to solving conflicts, can actually help a man. If men understand this, honestly, if men really do genuinely understand this about women and about relationships, it could actually make, because there are some men that are so tied to secrecy and so tied to independence and doing things on their own without the help of their women. And honestly, and I believe that married men can actually validate this, that the more things they tell their wives, the more advice they get from their wives, the more solutions that it brings to the table when it concerns situations. So I believe that transparency and is very important. But if there are secrets that are harmful to the relationship, then it should not be communicated. That's what I think.
You make a great point.
Yeah.
You make a great point. So now, if let's assume you are the one keeping the secret, and the man, which is a boyfriend,
Yeah.
or your fiance,
Yeah.
or whoever he is,
Yeah.
and he finds out what you're hiding, are you going to?
And I beg, oh. Not beg. Not beg.
No, I love your honesty.
Because I know myself. I don't believe that there's anything that I can do that can really be detrimental to a relation, that can really be detrimental to my partner's life or my partner's mental health. Because honestly, unless maybe I kill person, which is most unlikely. But I believe that there are things that can be solved with repentance. Genuine repentance. When you've gone through something, you made an honest mistake and you communicate it and you seek forgiveness, and your partner, knowing that he or she is fully human, can also make the same mistakes.
What if your partner says, I want to take a break?
You want to take a break?
From this relationship.
On top waiting.
Does it really work?
On
like
top,
taking a break now and you'll be like,
well,
okay, since you have done this, you have done that, let me just rest more.
Okay.
Let me rest for like 2-3 days.
In marriages.
Does it work?
In marriages or relationships. Okay, so I believe.
No, just normal relationship.
Okay, I believe breaks can actually work. But it depends on your motive for that break. Is it for clarity and space? Are you taking a break for clarity, for space, or to, reevaluate your relationship and try to understand why you got into a relationship to begin with? I won't say Nigerians, but for the generation, our generation as we speak, we've taken that word, taking a break, to a very confusing level of taking a break in terms of you now going to look for someone else to see if another relationship would work. But honestly, if you are taking a break from a relationship, it's for you to reevaluate and see if there are things that can be solved, that there are things that can be strengthened, there are boundaries that can be strengthened, resolved, or things that can be solved in order to make that relationship work while you are still together. So sometimes when we say we take a break, it ends up in breakup, because honestly, what are you taking a break from exactly? What is the thing that warrants you taking a break? For you to reevaluate our relationship, to understand why we ended up coming together to, date to begin with. And if you cannot, resolve those things, then honestly, maybe we know they fool ourselves. Let's not fool ourselves.
Just assume that the person is no longer interested.
Honestly,
in the
because
are you going to beg?
Majority of the time, I assume that someone is not interested anymore when you request for a break in relationship. If you cannot, I know talks to make everybody. You can't go to counseling, right? On single, when you're still single, you're in a relationship, you're not married and everything. You can't go.
You can't go to counseling. I have seen so many people that are in a relationship.
Hoping to get married.
Yeah, no. I don't think they are hoping. They are just have counselors. Counseling them what to do.
Counseling on maybe infidelity or anything. But if it is things that require a sit down and a conversation between both of you, reevaluating why. Okay, I believe that when people say they want to date, they already have like basic knowledge about each other, right? You can't want to go long term with someone without knowing, do you suit me? Are we compatible in this way? Are we compatible in that way? So I believe like conversations would have been had, right? So if it comes to strifes in relationship where you're already going long term and things just keep occurring and reoccurring, then yes, you both need to settle down.
So you have never taken a break. You have never taken a break.
There's
in a
no such
relationship.
thing as a break. I don't. For me,
You never
I've never.
I'm tired a little.
Okay.
Let me just rest small.
Okay,
before
no,
I start again.
I would believe for me it's stemmed with fights, fights and rekindling the relationship, fights and fighting and making up. But when it comes to break, I have never had that experience. But honestly, I believe that taking a break to reevaluate your relationship with someone and to rekindle the flames and revisit, resolve specific issues that you both have in the relationship is very vital for you to understand that, okay, there are things that we need to work on and we need to compromise. They are non-negotiables. These are the things that I feel like are troubling me in this relationship.
So to your
if we
own
are willing,
knowledge now,
Yeah.
your own experience,
yeah,
what's your non-negotiable?
non-negotiable. Well, it depends on variety of things. For cheating, my non-negotiable is when you consistently do that, knowing how awful it is, and you do it without caring about someone else's feelings. Because honestly, if the case is reversed, for a man, you will definitely let go of the relationship. So for a woman, it should also be the case, because there's a limit to how much disrespect someone can take in a relationship.
Yeah.
So constant cheating and infidelity, and when it now becomes a ridicule where everyone knows about it, and you've become a public spectacle that, oh, your man is cheating and gallivanting, and you're just there, it becomes it's a non-negotiable for me. And for anything else, I believe that anything else can be worked with, unless you married a very toxic individual that cannot be reasoned with, someone that believes that his way is the highway, someone that cannot compromise on his values, someone that cannot compromise on what he believes in, for you both to come together, right? Because being single, you had your own values and beliefs, and your partner also had his own values and beliefs. Now, for you to come together to make a relationship work, you need to marry those things together and see how, in building a family, in building a relationship, in building long-term structure in your marriage or whatever it is that you intend to do with your partner, where are the things that you feel like you can compromise and merge together.
So to you now, honesty is the best policy.
Honesty is the best. Transparency and honesty are very vital in relationships. Honestly,
Can you be honest and transparent with your partner?
It doesn't seclude you having your own boundaries and privacy, right? You can have privacy in terms of, there are so many things you can be private about that your partner does not need to know, but it doesn't mean that you cannot communicate things. Now, what really breaks, that makes people think of honesty, and is maybe when a partner cheats, and when there are so many circumstances regarding finances and everything that you cannot honestly communicate with your wife, because maybe, for lack of a better word, you have a toxic partner that you can't expose, you can't be fully transparent with. Do you understand? Yes.
All right.
Yes.
I understand your point. When you are honest, things will move smoothly.
Yeah.
Instead of hiding.
Exactly.
Thank you for joining us today.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy that you came. Because a wonderful person.
Likewise. I'm happy to be here.
You guys might not know her, but she's a very good woman. She's a very, very wonderful woman. She doesn't cheat. Make una know they look at her anyhow. She doesn't cheat. So thank you once again for coming.
Thank you.
Guys, like, comment, and share. This is Bridges and Bonds podcast by Morrison. We'll see you next episode. Thank you.